increasingly, DCPs are networked to us. I'd say we're getting kind of above 90% of our deliveries are now networked. So sent over the internet, we've got data connections to the building and to all the servers. And it's frankly, it's incredibly convenient because they can send KDMs as well. KDMs are it's a key delivery message, which is the kind of key which lets you unlock a film so you can screen it in a specific screen at a specific time. It's to avoid piracy. But yeah, most stuff is sent to us over network now. We do still get drives, crew drives generally, but that's usually more around festival times when we're kind of receiving kind of over 200 different DCPs over the space of a fortnight. The average size of a DCP is probably what, 150 gig to 250 gig, I guess. So they're not huge. I mean, slightly larger if they're 4K, but yeah, it's all got very convenient actually, and I don't think anyone would really complain about it in that respect. No one really likes lugging film prints around. So there's a lot of bad backs in the team, I think, and we're all kind of in that respect we're quite happy. We're getting the Brutalist sent to us next week for the training actually, and the Brutalist is about 11 reels of 70mm, and that's really heavy. So yeah, we don't miss that element of the 35mm. We've got sponsorship agreements with Christie, and they provide laser projectors for us. So we actually bring everything into the room. So we bring the sound system, we bring the projectors, we install the screen, we install the drapes. We've been doing it for some time now. I don't know if any of you remember the Embankment Garden Cinema. So we're kind of working with the same companies that we used to set up that cinema with. So we've kind of got it's kind of a well-oiled machine these days. So a company called Blackout install the screen, and they work at the Royal Festival regularly. We've got kind of very experienced riggers, so that's probably the most critical part of it. It's about 6,000 quid's worth of screen that we hang in there, and we unfortunately for sustainability purposes we have to use a new screen each year because there's the danger of it getting scratched and marked. So we hang a new screen each year. That usually happens overnight on the Sunday, and then I come in on the Monday morning with my fingers well and truly crossed that hasn't gone wrong, and so far in the last 5 years it hasn't. We have a sound company called System Sound. They do lots of live events, but they've kind of specialized in doing sound for digital cinema recently. They've got kind of a huge load of kit, which is really good quality. They're really experienced. They used to working with live sound and also cinema sound. So they set up the sound systems for us. Chris mentioned Ed, our engineer. I mean, Ed's a really experienced cinema engineer, so he always does the lineup of the projectors with us, in conjunction with Christie. So we just work with and the Royal Festival Hall team are great as well. They're really accommodating, really easy to work with. So we work with teams we've worked with a long time. We use a mixture of in-house experience and knowledge and external contractors, and it's a really fun project actually. It's kind of I really enjoy working over there. Each year, I don't know if you've been to many screenings there, but each year we've been adding more and more drapes to try and improve the audio quality in there. Obviously, it's a concert hall, and it's a very reverberant room, very lively room. It was built for acoustic sound, and that's something that we're fighting against constantly. We spent a lot of money on black drapes last year, and we're getting to grips with the reverberations, I think, and year on year we've been improving the audio, and I think it sounds better than it did to begin with. The first year was a bit of a eye-opener really. It was the opening night film was played far too loud. Nothing to do with me, I might add. The director was involved, and there was just a cacophony of noise. The gunshots were terrifying, and I started to panic that we'd done something really stupid. But since then, it's improved a lot, and I think it's actually a really great venue to watch a film now. Ed's kind of easily bored, and this year he was saying we should last year he was saying we should put some 35mm projectors in there. And there was a chance that we were going to run Begonia on a print in there, but ultimately it didn't happen. So, but I think there's still some kind of potential chance for doing that this year. We don't know. It depends who's involved, who has their films in the program, and whether they actually want to run a 35mm print. But we thought it'd be fun to try, because it's 5 years now, and we're all getting a little bored, shall we say. We want to keep it interesting for ourselves, but. We do, particularly for film on film, since we started showing nitrate again, we do get really involved with QC and check screenings for nitrate prints because it's impossible to tell what a film really looks like on a bench or if you scan it. So particularly for film on film and the nitrate screenings, we actually run every. I think we had 12 nitrate prints for the Film on Film Festival last year. We ended up showing 5 of them. So all archives have condition reports, and they do a lot of print servicing before they bring the film out for projection. So every archive has good information on what the quality of the film is, where the damage is, how many splices, if there are emulsion scratches or mold. I mean, when you're working with nitrate, mold is actually quite regularly a problem because all of the prints are going to be pre-1950, and you never know where it's come from before it's arrived in the archive, so it could already be moldy before it's been accessioned. So for nitrate prints in particular, we're heavily involved in QC and check screenings ahead of the festival. For other prints, less so because you can normally tell if it's going to be decent quality from a bench check, or we have a QC check at the archive as well. One of my colleagues, Martin Coffield's a projectionist there, so he'll run safety films through his projectors. I mentioned them earlier, they were the old Kayleys from NFT1. So before they come to the South Bank, he'll have seen them on screen there, but he can't do that with the nitrate because he hasn't got the equipment set up or the risk assessment in place to run nitrate at the archive. But so it's a mixture really. We've got a good idea of the condition of prints for safety prints, but nitrate, we generally check them here before we choose them for screening.
So, some prints come with the cues already printed on them, most modern prints, and then sometimes we'll get ones with very unusual cues. So somewhere there's a sheet that has all of these different shapes and scratches that you might find, but a lot of the time, over time, the lazier projectionist will rather than peel the tape off, when they're putting it, say if they're running it on a platter system where they've got to attach the reels together, they'll remove the heads and tails, and then rather than take 5 seconds to peel the tape off, they just chop a frame off the end, chuck it in the bin. So over time, you might lose up to a second of film on the end. That's why you might occasionally see a changeover where you think, hang on a minute, something missing there. There's a jump in the dialogue. So we have to put China graph, because that's easy to remove, So we'll put like red China graph usually. That's the most visible, particularly on darker scenes. So yeah, it can vary. But
that's what's important, isn't it? So the reason why you'd write red China graph or scratch rings is because you might see other marks, and you need to know which marks to go on. Because in I guess the example John's talking about, you can't rely on the rings anymore because there's 10 frames missing from the end, so all those marks have to move 10 back in order to have a gap.
Yeah, strays, which just means hold your nerve because you want to look for this shape and not.
Because when you are looking out the porthole, waiting for that dot and your finger's on the button, you're not necessarily completely in control of your finger, particularly when you've done it a lot. Like it just does that.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you have to really tell yourself.
Yeah.
As soon as you see a cue, generally
it is instinct to go, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, the finger cuts over time, we've all got like calluses on our fingers. But to begin with, the gloves help when you're working with film. But now, yeah, I've got no feeling in my tips of my fingers.
it does come back, Mark.
It does come back
Eventually if you stop running film.
Yes. Well, like busman's holiday, really, isn't it? Going to the cinema on your day off. I do. I mean, I still enjoy film. The family enjoys film. We often go to the cinema. Personality traits. I mean, we spend most of our times in a dark room. So I guess you can make up your own mind.
I would say that we're kind of unusual at the BFI in that we've got a relatively large team. So you're never really on your own working here in the tech team. I mean, a lot of other cinemas, there'd just be one person on their own all day, all night. thinking dark thoughts in the dark. But I think we do kind of jolly each other along a little bit in this team, and there's more of a kind of a
Yeah, it's quite unique here, isn't it?
yeah, it is. So it really helps.
I think most people, in my experience, are kind of people that have come from an artistic background, and rather than going and getting a regular office job, you think, well, it's probably going to be more fun to work in the cinema or in the theatre, and then suddenly 30 years have gone, and you're not the filmmaker you thought you were going to be.
But you're a good projectionist.
Yeah, but I think, you know, that question, because I was thinking about this today, that most people I've met are quite eccentric and interesting people, but they would never survive in the real world, you know.
They're quite an interesting bunch to manage. They're all a bit maverick. They're all lovely, but yeah, kind of people are quite independent of thought, shall we say, and that's generally who we've attracted here. But it's great, you know, interesting bunch, always good to hang out with. Absolutely. Terrible to go to the cinema with, really, because they're always really picky about things going wrong. Everyone has their pet peeves. Mine is light hitting the screen from kind of safety lights and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've been told not to comment, just to be quiet. Enjoy the food. Stop spoiling it.
Yes, I'm definitely very careful for my first comment. What did you think of the film? Just don't mention that it was slightly out of focus.
Yeah, the light.
Yeah.
Sound was terrible.
Yeah.
There's always, when people ask you whether you enjoyed the film or not, my experience of old Projectionists was all right. It was 68 minutes, a bit dirty on the ends. I was like, oh, okay, but did you enjoy it? Oh, I don't know, it was all right.
We see the first sort of 10 minutes, maybe a bit in the middle and in the end, and then we make up our mind whether it's a good film or not. I think
that's it. Yeah. It's actually quite difficult to watch a film when you're running changeovers as well, because you're often looking away from the screen, or you're rewinding a print, or if it's a foreign language film, if you're looking at the top right hand corner waiting for Q dots, then you can lose track of what people are saying for about 2 minutes. I always found that quite annoying. But digital as well, we show a lot of digital cinema automated, so you're not necessarily in the box when the films are running. So that's another way it kind of removes you from actually watching films these days.
No, I mean, anything to do with film or the public program, I love. I don't have a problem. We do a lot of private hires, corporate hires. I would say that's probably my least favourite part of the job. Although it does bring lots of rewards with, you know, the new technology, and it does kind of help us progress with, you know, they always want something a bit different. But I'd say that's definitely.
I guess with corporate hire clients, you've never worked with them before. They come in with random demands and high expectations, and so it's always a bit of a negotiation. Because with our own in-house events teams, you know, they know our capabilities. We know what we can offer them, and it's a slightly smoother process, shall we say? But you know, it's important to keep the money coming in. So we're not going to turn away corporate clients, and they're a really important part of what we do.
Carrying 70 mil up the spiral staircase is not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nitrate is actually quite stressful to run as well. There's that kind of slight fear that things could go horribly wrong any minute.
I quite like it. I don't know what it says about me, but it kind of gives an edge to the screening, definitely. But,
you talk about characteristics of projectionists. Mark is a very, very calm guy, and that's a really important characteristic if you're a projectionist, because things can go wrong very quickly, and trying to remain calm when not that ever happens really anymore, but if you've got film piling up at the bottom of a projector, then that's quite traumatic.
He's dying on the inside.
Yeah. all of your mistakes are public. All of your mistakes are on screen and kind of witnessed by hundreds of people potentially. So that brings its own pressure, I think.
Yeah, definitely. But you do learn to sort of tune out with that. I always think, you know, whether you're projecting to 800 or 2,000 people at the festival hall, or 5 people in a NFT4, you're technically doing, well, maybe not NFT4, but you're doing the same job really. So as long as you focus on that, it doesn't really matter how many people.
It is kind of psychological if you work in NFT1, it just feels bigger and more important somehow. So, like you say, if you can tune that out and just treat it like any other screening.
Yeah, focus on what you need to do.
It's harder at the Royal Festival Hall because you're in the same room as 2,000 people, and they can turn around and see you. There's nowhere to hide. Yeah.
Generally on our phone.
I mean, we're always careful with film prints. So in that respect, we were possibly a bit more careful, but not excessively more careful. There was, I guess, there was a higher degree of security around it. We were really cautious to lock it away in a separate vault away from the projection box. After we screened it, it had a special delivery from the archive. So we were very conscious that it was quite rare and quite a valuable print. So yeah, just a little bit more noise around it, I guess, and we were a bit more cautious with it.
We weren't allowed to talk about it until it got announced. Was that? I can't remember.
Yeah, we had to be careful about screening it. We did have some rehearsal screenings in advance of the actual public screening, so there was definitely some caution around it with that as well. But we all prints are precious and rare these days, so we have to try and look after all of them to our best ability, really.
Maybe we'll show it again. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. It's going to be quite a difficult act to follow with Film on Film 2027 because there was such a buzz around it for the festival last year. But I'm sure the programmers are doing their best to find some alternative opening night film. I mean, IMAX is obviously the highest quality film projection you can get. I don't think it's controversial to say that, just because the size of the frame is so much bigger than even 70mm. So you just get a lot more kind of focal depth, deeper focus. You can blur it up to an enormous size, and it's still kind of good quality focus on screen, good quality color, and also the system itself is just really impressive. It's just none of us actually run the IMAX projectors. We're based over here, and I know it vaguely, but we've got a very very good team over at the IMAX. But the whole projector is just enormous, and you have to be so cautious about how you lace it, because once you start a print, you can't stop it. Essentially, if you're out of rack, you can't get it back into rack again, which is something that we can do in these projectors. So just the whole process of lacing it and setting up a screening is fraught with more risk, but it's an amazing system, and I think we're hopefully going to be able to keep those projectors running into the future. I think IMAX Corporation and filmmakers like Chris Nolan and Ryan Coogler now, who's also become a IMAX aficionado, they're going to continue to want to show their prints, their films on IMAX. So something we need to keep going. Michael Ford, who's the technical manager at IMAX, is great. He's been in the industry for decades. He's approaching retirement, which is kind of giving me cold sweats a little bit, because he's got kind of a symbiotic relationship with the GT projector over there, and he can fix it when it goes wrong. It's a really complex system. It's got all sorts of different kind of condensers for chillers, and it's got 2 different platters for the left eye and the right eye. It's huge. The xenon lamps are 15,000 watts. It's just big and scary and unique. And every single IMAX projector is kind of almost bespoke and unique from the other IMAX projectors. So yeah, it's a difficult system to keep operating, and sometimes it can be a little bit temperamental. And we've got the Odyssey coming up, which hopefully will be running for quite a few weeks if the buzz gets generated. But it's a great film system, and it's really great that we're able to be part of that in the team now and have that as part of our team. What was the other question? I kind of
appreciation of film, was it? Yeah, of course. I mean, I've been I've been objectivist in like 30 years, and I worked in commercial cinema initially at the Odeon in Leicester Square, or the Odeon West End as it was then. It's not there anymore. And I think initially I got on it's great. I mean, I thought it'd be premieres and after show parties, and for a little while it was, but I soon realised that they actually took it very seriously, the projection, and then I did as well, and I kind of got to love it. So you kind of love the art more than what you're projecting on what's on screen, if you know what I mean. So I kind of loved the business. And then coming here, I came here in 2007. And there's here's so many different interesting people. We do so many do so much stuff, and you're just it does absorb into you. And I think I just have an overall appreciation of cinema as a whole, definitely. Different genres and whatnot. So, but I mean, my favourite films are still the films I watched when I was a teenager. I don't come and enjoy. I enjoy new films, but they don't speak to me, if you like. But I love the kind of business, and if that answers your question, right?
Amen.
Yeah.
Something I hadn't noticed before projecting film on single reels is, I guess, how much films are made in reels or not made in reels. So when you get kind of closer to the modern day, generally like the end of reel 1, beginning of reel 2, could be anywhere in the film, could be mid-scene, doesn't matter. Whereas when you go back to the 50s, you really see films made in reels, and you see quite fun stuff where, like, I can't remember the film, but there's one where you basically got someone arriving at a house, they knock on the door. And then the changeover is like going into the interior of the house. You have these kind of spatial movements, and the kind of reel seems to be part of the film, or even something as obvious like Fantasia. Just thinking about what you're saying, showing films that you had on VHS when you were a kid, and you've seen like quite a lot, and then seeing that, oh yeah, like every reel begins with the conductor and ends with the end of the piece of music. And when you watched on VHS, you didn't really realize that. So I think that's something I've definitely kind of appreciated. And then when you see that not happening, you're like, oh, these animals, they don't. What are they doing?
Can't edit properly. Yeah.
I mean, you've hit on probably the critical element of keeping film projection going. It's not so much the actual projectionists. I mean, no disrespect to projectionists. You can learn how to lace and run a projector relatively quickly, but actually the film engineering element is where we're kind of seeing people kind of aging out of the industry. Old engineers are kind of retiring, dying. So that's probably the most kind of fragile element to keeping it all going into the future. And Chris mentioned earlier, we're lucky enough to have Ed Morgan, who's been a film engineer for over 30 years, and he's got a good few years left in him yet, hopefully, but he's into his 50s. He's kind of and it's actually finding people who can maintain or who have that interest in tinkering with machines, essentially. And I think those opportunities are becoming fewer and fewer, and people who might have been interested in the past maybe are interested in coding or software engineering or that side of it instead.
I think it's really difficult, isn't it, without that. I guess Ed might talk to me about how we went up to some cinema in the country and overnight installed 4 projectors, and all that work, the quantity of work, I suppose, you'd need to get that level of experience kind of isn't there, because you haven't got the number of sites or the number of installations. So
that's it, yeah. So Ed started out working installing 35mm projectors for Picture House when they were rolling them out, new screens, him and his colleague. So they had that real kind of built-in experience of how to install projectors in a new cinema, which, as Chris says, you don't really get that anymore.
Yeah.
A few people are installing new screens. One of our technicians, Andy Jenkin, installed a new screen at the University of King's College, I think, over at the Westfield campus. So it does happen occasionally, but less so. But there's this kind of new interest people are showing in film is it gives us some hope that there will be people who want to take on that side of it as well. And you're right, with 8mm and 16mm, that's kind of even harder to maintain in a way.
There's no career path anymore, is there? That's a problem. Young people coming in, it's sort of, is there a job to sustain them? I mean, a lot, or is it going to just be a sort of a hobby that people can do?
Yeah,
on the side?
I think. I mean, because there are so few of them, it could conceivably be a career path. But a lot of people maybe start in digital cinema engineering, and there are quite a few companies still operating in that field, and maybe you could branch out from that point. But yeah, it's definitely a concern and something we need to be aware of. Because, I mean, essentially we didn't want to get a huge flood of candidates, so it was quite focused when we put the call out that we were training people. So we went out to cinemas who either had existing film projectionists or projectors installed, or had ambition to kind of reinstate film projectors that they had in their venue. There are a lot of venues that maybe have film projectors. People have retired, moved away, and they haven't really run any film screenings anymore. But because of the kind of increasing interest in screening from film, they want to get people back on track. So we kind of focused, it's a relatively small group of people. We're only training 12 people. So we kind of focused the recruitment to that kind of venue. So it wasn't really a super wide kind of search for candidates, I guess, which means you're going to miss out, I guess, on potentially some great people. But yeah, it's how wide you go and how much opportunity is there for people who develop the skills that are on the training courses. So it's a tricky balancing act, essentially, but we want to kind of increase the knowledge in the field, in the venues that are still running film or still can run film, and then kind of build a little ecosystem around that and kind of a network of people who are kind of more able to get involved. And it's kind of a baby steps, really, but we want to do it before it's too late. So I'm glad we're making a start.